How many of you have watched the Olympic Games before? Which kind of sports is your favorite? Among the 36 kinds of sports, the majority usually focus on the popular one like the ball games or track and field sports. Only a few of people are familiar and interested in the less popular one. So today I'm going to introduce one of them, the archery. First, I'm going to talk about the history of archery. The word archery means the practice and skills of using the bow to shoot the arrows. It comes from the Latin word arcus, which means bows. The Olympic history of archery began at the second Olympic game, which was held in Paris. It was the time that people started to familiar with archery as a kind of sports or a recreational activity after it has been invented for thousands of years. In fact, it is believed that archery was invented in the late Paleolithic or the early Mesolithic. The evidence that found have proved that archery started to be used in Europe at around 10,000 BC and some said even more early in Asia or the Middle East. When archery first appeared in human history, it was actually a technique for people to hunt or use as a weapon in the war. It was very important in the ancients because archery was the only and the first way that people invented to catch their prey or kill the enemy from a long distance away. Due to its importance, the design of the bows and arrows have been highly improved and applied until the appearance of the firearms. The appearance of guns eventually replaced archery. People no longer use their bows and arrows to hunt or combat. Since then, archery became a recreational activity and started turning to a sport in the 1840s. So next, I'm going to talk about the different type of bows. Although there are many different kind of bows that have been invented in the history, in the modern age, there are mainly two kinds of bows that we use for competition or hunting for fun. The first kind of them is the compound bow. It was invented by Horace Wilbur Allen in America at around 1960 due to the increase of interest in hunting with bows and arrows. Instead of directly bend the bow limbs with the power of our arms, the compound bow has a pulley which is a wheel or a cam at the end of the two limbs to work as a levering system. With this new design, the limbs are more easy to bend with less amount of power and can store much more power in the bow. Therefore, the speed of the arrows are much more faster and have a higher accuracy. Since it has much better performance compared to the traditional bows like longbows or the recurve bows, the compound bows are often used in hunting. Another type of bows that are widely used in different archery competitions nowadays is the recurve bow. It is also the only kind of bow that is used in the Olympic Games. Unlike the compounds, no one knows that who invented it. Recurve bow have been existed for thousands of years. It was a common type of weapon used by many countries in the past before we have guns and bullets. Just like the name recurve, the limbs of the bow curve away from the archers. This special design makes it store more energy and transfer better to the arrow when we release it. Although the recurve bow have been invented for a long time, the details of the bows have changed a lot, especially on the material that we use to make it. In the past, people used wood to make the whole bow, and nowadays we use various kinds of materials like the metal to make the body, and the limbs are usually made by multiple layers of material like carbon, wood, and fiberglass. Finally, I'm going to talk about the physical requirements of archery. Hands-eye coordination is one of the important elements in archery. When an archer aims at the target, it is usually based on hands and eyes coordinations. In the process of aiming, our hands react and adjust based on the feedback from our eyes. Although it looks quite easy and similar to aim at a target, it isn't that easily since it is really hard to make sure our hands don't move away and the environment factor, for example like the wind, will affect it. Another important requirement for archery is concentration. During an archery competition, it requires the archers to have highly concentration during the entire competition, especially when the archer is shooting. He needs to be focused on the target and maintain his concentration on it until we know that the arrow hits the target. Among all the requirements for being a good archer, I think patience is the most important one. Practice always makes perfect, just like other kinds of sports. It takes lots of time and efforts to become a good archer. They practice days and nights to make sure that they can hit the target, even though it is a rainy day or a windy day. So, in conclusion, today I've talked to you about the history of archery, which you know now everyone knows that it is a long established sport, and I've also talked about the different types of archery, which is mainly the compound bow and the recurve bow, and we also talk about the physical requirements of archery. So I hope now everyone know more about it. Thank you.